Right, right. No, it's and it's one of the reasons why I started um, doing this workshop is that it's gotten a lot easier. I until just recently, basically you had to have a Gitcoin or GitHub account, and it really hinged on you being able to, if you want to participate in Gitcoin grants, you kind of had to learn GitHub, and that was super difficult. Um, but Gitcoin grants has just recently, a couple months ago, migrated to become a completely decentralized grants protocol. And I'm going to share my screen. So can everybody see my screen right now?
Yep, yep.
Sweet. And then, all right. All right, should be full screen. Um, if you happen to minimize the presentation, you'll notice on the right-hand side where the profiles are that there is a screen um, to, Ernest of Gaia's screen. If you click on that, it'll open it back up the presentation for you. But essentially, I'm going to start with a little introduction to myself and what I do, and then quickly get into demystifying the Gitcoin grants protocol as it now is. I've basically been uh, in DAOs since 2017. My first exposures to DAOs was the Dash um, Bitcoin fork, um, and 2017's a lot of decentralized autonomous cooperatives spun up on the EOS blockchain. But it was really a couple years ago that I began to get involved with Bankless, and now I work with DAO Planet to promote DAOs at Ethereum conferences. I've recently been working with ED3 DAO and bringing some of the Bankless DAO education department education to ED3 DAO, community. Um, Highly involved in the refi space. I work with Carbon Collectible NFTs to bring, to try to help, use Web3 tools to bring funding to preserve mature forests. I do work with researchers in RNDAO. I live with folks in Kift DAO, which is a van life DAO. We have properties up and down the west coast of the U.S. That we share cooperatively, and I love social media in gaming, and NFTs. So DAO Punks, the Chippy community, Anti-Secret Society is a metaverse community. Aavegotchi DAO is, uh, one of the most evolved DeFi gaming platforms on Polygon. And then, since I'm really big into Web3 social media, things like crowdfunding or things that help monetize social media content, like the Juicebox protocol and Gitcoin grants, are also, something that I try to keep tabs on. Seems everywhere I go in Web3, everybody's looking for funding. Um, and I even started my own Discord to kind of help people, really new people start getting safely onboarded to different Web3 applications. Um, there we go. Uh, Essentially, what I do is I research and teach adults how to use Web3 tools. I can share this slide deck with folks afterwards so that they can get these links. But a majority of the education courses that I do get uploaded to the um, one of my YouTube playlists. I teach Sobel, Seshbot, Collab.Landbot, Juicebox, Gitcoin, teach folks about block explorers, metaverses, Discord, multi-sig contracts, wallets, Uniswap v3. It I tend to give people more information than they need. So if you're ever looking for information, I probably got a link somewhere that can help folks out. But I really enjoy testing things on the test nets and helping people learn how to use blockchain tools by first trying them on test nets, so that they can learn without thousands of dollars in gas fees. So essentially what is Gitcoin? It started out as kind of building small applications for folks looking to do their own crowdfunding for projects. Their mission is to basically build public goods infrastructure, so that projects can fund themselves through the Gitcoin, hub, or Gitcoin now the Gitcoin protocol. And their main, I guess, the main thing that they brought to the space, enabled by blockchain technology, is essentially their quadratic funding mechanism that gives more weight or increases funding depending on the amount of people, not just the amount of dollars that gets donated to a project. They started out, creating like bounty system, and a grant system and a couple other small products. But now they've kind of put all these different products into a stack, and they're now a decentralized grants protocol for anybody looking for funding. The Gitcoin grants protocol has essentially come out of, again, a lot of smaller tools like GitLabs and GitHub. Let me show you a little bit about their history. Gitcoin can be considered, pretty old in the blockchain space, which is good. But it's essentially, been around since 2017, almost 6 years now. It's funded lots of projects. They first put out their quadratic funding paper in 2018 and launched their Gitcoin grants platform in 2019. Since then, over $50 million has been distributed through their grants and grants programs. One of the interesting products that Gitcoin created is called Gitcoin Passport. So we'll get into a little bit about that. Gitcoin Passport is essentially a Sybil resistance mechanism that just tries to verify and validate through, validating people's socials. Basically just tries to identify that indeed this is a unique person associated with this, Gitcoin account, so that lots of, if you're getting funded based on, if you get more funding based on more people that donate to your platform, it's really important that these are individual people that are recognized and not just somebody that creates like 20 accounts. Up until just recently, Gitcoin basically did quarterly rounds of grant funding. They now moved to a grants protocol, so the funding can go on all the time. Is they're not based on these rounds anymore. But so the recent alpha round, they call it, essentially consists of three different types of matching pools, depending on whether your grant project is open source software, Ethereum infrastructure, or climate solutions. And essentially, those rounds, hundreds of projects are involved in these rounds. And then we're going to get into a little detail of what the Gitcoin grants stack looks like. So I wanted to kind of start with what quadratic funding looks like. They have a nice short video, but essentially there's a matching pool of funds that goes into the overall campaign or round that Gitcoin's doing, and the quadratic funding allows the number of contributors to a project matters more than the actual particular amount funded. So one person coming in with, $1 million is great, but 20 people coming in with $10,000, is recognized as being more important to the community and weighted as such when they match the donations that people put towards projects. The idea of Gitcoin grants is that as much as possible, it reduces the effect that whales or brokers may have in funding projects, and really tries to put the power of the funding and what gets funding into the hands of the mass of people on the edges. Folks generally think that this creates more democracy in public goods funding. And it is important to note that the majority of projects, if not all of them, on Gitcoin grants are some type of public goods project. Gitcoin grants can basically be seen as an improvement on Web 2 crowdfunding. There's a little and there's a link here to the quadratic funding paper that goes into a little bit more detail on the math. There's been lots of projects that have benefited from Gitcoin grants. Again, over 50 million in public goods causes, everything from DeFi with Uniswap and Zapper to infrastructure projects like Wallet Connect or DAppNode. Their most recent, this just started 2 months ago, their grants round 15, with climate solutions being one of the, buckets of, basically one of the three rounds is that. Oh,
Yeah,
is that?
Ernst, you cut off there for a second.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Everybody hear me okay now?
you're good now.
Okay. Let me go back to my slide. One of the benefits of being in these like platforms or network protocols with crowdfunding is that people use Kickstarter because there's this whole ecosystem of donors and projects in the Kickstarter system, or whether you're using GoFundMe. And so Gitcoin grants is very much its own ecosystem. People that are looking to fund grants go there, as well as people looking for funding. Um, so looking at, their transition to being an actual grants protocol, as opposed to just several different types of tools that are sometimes overwhelming, is, essentially they have moved, to a completely Web3 platform. So it's now based off of your wallet address, not your GitHub account. Um, Again, their alpha testing started earlier this year. So this is a great time to kind of learn and, you know, uh, go back to, revisiting the platform. I know when I first heard about Gitcoin grants and had to figure out GitHub, me not being a dev, I was like, I'll come back to this later. Now it's much easier to connect just with your wallet, um, and start getting involved, or posting your projects to their platform. Their vision as they see it is kind of, these are kind of like the three kind of pillars of what makes up the Gitcoin protocol. They essentially have the round manager and grant explorer that allows you to create the grants, that manages the cycles of grant funding, allows you to explore different grants. They have a grants hub for non-Gitcoin grant programs, and job boards, and links to other fundraising platforms or mechanisms. And then they have the Gitcoin Passport, which provides Sybil resistance and, essentially allows folks to, not just within the Gitcoin community, to have a kind of identity that's validated, for some type of proof of humanness, um, but that other apps as well can use this passport so that they can themselves have their own Sybil resistance. At the end of this presentation, I'll share with you a link to a feedback form, and I've included a widget on the form that requires you to essentially connect your Gitcoin passport. And if you've connected your Twitter, your Facebook, and your LinkedIn, you should have no problem validating those parts of your passport. But essentially, you have to kind of prove your humanness in order to fill out our feedback form. And it's easier now than ever to get the stamps that you need to be able to kind of build your passport. Again, they're really, they're trying to connect a lot of projects in their protocol, but they're also trying to, through their hub, also connect people to other, public goods infrastructure funding mechanisms through their grants hub. Their rounds manager essentially, again, is all, you're connected through your wallet instead of being connected through Gitcoin, through GitHub. And so being able to bring your project to their platforms become much easier. Their grants explore, really easy. You can see here at the top, I connect with my wallet and my MetaMask. no longer do I have to connect with my GitHub, which is great. And I can, easily view grants, um, donate to them, uh, or even, upload my own, grant project. They kind of have like a cart widget that allows you, basically it gives you the shopping cart experience that we're kind of familiar with Amazon, and other online ordering systems. Um, so it's much easier now than it used to be to kind of manage and donate to projects. It's not really loading too fast. Oh, but not too bad. Um, you can see, before you donate, they always ask you to kind of verify your identity. If you don't use the Gitcoin passport, or if you don't have many stamps on your passport, this doesn't prevent you from donating to projects. It just reduces the amount that's matched to your donation. So if you're not using Gitcoin Passport, you're still able to donate to projects. You just may not get they may not get additional funding because your identity isn't validated. Ba-dum-bum. Let's see. The Gitcoin Passport, or let's see. Talk quite a bit about the passport. If folks like, I can show you, just how easy it is to get the stamps kind of after this presentation, towards the end. Gitcoin likes to say, and I think this is a good example, but it's not just, your one isolated project on their platform. There's really a whole public goods funding, culture and movement within Web3. And, Gitcoin is just one of the first movers in that space. So that's the general kind of overview and introduction into Gitcoin. Basically, when we look at their grant stack, people need a way to run their grants and get funding. But people also want to support projects and use Gitcoin's tools either on their protocol or in other protocols. And so their stack is really trying to make it to where anybody that's seeking grant funding or building public goods can kind of use their platform to do so. If we go to passport.gitcoin.co, let me disconnect my wallet first. You can see that, the first thing they want you to do is to connect your wallet. You don't need GitHub, which is great. But the way the passport works, like most passports, is that you validate some part of your identity and then you get a stamp associated with your wallet address. There are lots of stamps that you can get if you do manage a GitHub profile. Just like a Google account or a Discord or Facebook. Likewise, you can connect and verify that you do have a GitHub account. ENS domains. One of the interesting things about these stamps is that it's not just, do you have a POAP, but your POAP needs to be at least 15 days old. Or it's not enough, you could just have a GitHub account, but if you have 100 followers on your GitHub, or if you have 1,000 followers on your Facebook, this increases the number of stamps associated with, your particular Facebook or GitHub or Google. Gnosis Safe, so if you've done multi-sig signer transactions, if you've owned an NFT, if you've done any ZK Sync transactions, you can, let's see, boom, boom. It's not letting me do, oh, there we go. You basically come to, the stamp, sign a transaction to let it read your wallet, and you can see that I haven't done any ZK Sync transactions, so, I don't get validated. When you go to something like Twitter to validate, it's not going to let me do it again. Maybe. Okay. So you can see here for the Twitter, I give it permission to check my account name. I give it permission to check my posts. If I have more than 10 posts, then I get a stamp for that. If I have more than 100 followers, I get a stamp. More than 500. Don't quite yet have, over 1,000 Twitter followers, so I don't get the additional stamps for those two criteria. And Gitcoin Passport is one of the things that we're really looking at in Bankless to potentially gate some of the activity or things that we got going on in Discord. I think that's about all I need to say about Gitcoin. Are there any questions?
So once I get this passport, you're saying that, how do I actually make a project or something, or submit for a grant, or how does that work?
Yeah. So essentially from, their Gitcoin website, you go into how it works. If you want to run, if you want to get funding for a project or create funding for a project, they have some Notion pages, it looks like, with instructions. Let me log in. I haven't actually tried signing up a project yet, but I know there's a few grant programs that have. But essentially, you apply to the Gitcoin Grants program, and you submit essentially an application. They do have, previously for their rounds, they have, eligibility criteria for their rounds. And, you kind of just fill out their forms. If you're eligible, then you get featured in a round. Let's see. Yeah.
I guess where I'm confused is like, they emphasize like kind of volume of people hopefully contributing, investing in your project, but I guess you have to submit this application, and then is that like in a community area where you can like answer questions about it, or does it have to be approved and then goes in front of another round of people, and then like who are the people that actually review it, and like how many of these are they getting? Because I know most Web3 grant programs are just inundated and just spammed. So, and like what exactly are they looking for? I guess all that's probably on Notion, but these are kind of the things I was wondering the first time I tried to do it, and they made us supply with our GitHub, and it was a whole thing. So that's why I'm just kind of curious about if you knew some of these details or not.
Yeah, let's see. Do community onboarding. Yeah, they do have a bunch of Notion pages. Haha. um, partner
Let me share
port.
some links that I. Let me share some links with you too. The
Yeah.
email that I bookmarked that might help because there really is a lot of information out there.
Yep. I'll submit impact certificate. Explore bounties. Yeah, and so essentially their alpha round is testing this overall protocol. So I think they're still, you have to essentially apply for the alpha round. You would have had to do so prior to January 17th. I think in the future, once they get done with this testing round and maybe one more testing round, it'll be more automatic, and you'll probably, have things, with like perpetual funding. They still may do some type of rounds, um, but I can definitely put you in touch with somebody because I know in Bankless, let's see where, if I go back to the grants. I know Bankless Africa, Think Decade has put in, let's see. Yeah, so we have a bundle of Bankless DAO projects on Gitcoin grants. This looks, yeah, so Bankless Academy is part of this bundle, as well as Bankless Africa and Bankless Labs. And there's also the international media nodes have a project in this bundle.
So for this bundle, you basically are putting out like a proposal thing of money you want, like you kind of like outline the outcomes, and then anyone can come and donate here, or is there like someone from Gitcoin that's reviewing it and like stamping it, or how's that work exactly?
What's your question again? With
So
the
like on this page, this project, it's showing estimated lifetime funding received $2,000. Does that mean like just random people from Gitcoin have given you $2,000, or you're trying to get $2,000, or how does it work exactly?
Yeah, so I don't believe our projects got into the round. so we're just listed as projects that you can donate to on the Gitcoin grants, website. And so far we received a total of $2,000 in funding. I'm not sure how it gets divided up between these projects. It might just be divided up evenly. Let me see what happens when I click add to cart. So if I add Bankless DAO projects to my cart and then go to check out, all I can do is donate to the bundle of Bankless DAO projects. Like a year ago, there used to be basically a whole bunch of Bankless DAO projects went individually to Gitcoin to try to get, set up. And they're like, we can't have all these different groups being called Bankless DAO, projects. And then I think since then is when they've done more of this like bundling of projects together. Um, let's see, do I have 5 DAI? Oh, 2 DAI. Can I give 2 DAI? So if I give 2 DAI, I'm going to give a little bit back to the Gitcoin pool. My contribution is matched by an additional 0.2 DAI. So by me donating 2 DAI, it actually gives 2.2 DAI to the project. Oh, I can do a ZK Sync checkout. Save fees on gas. MetaMask. So this is only allowing me to connect using my ledger. Oh no, here we go. So connected with my MetaMask, signed the ZK Sync rollup. And for whatever reason, I can't do the ZK Sync. I need a little bit more. Well, that's a bummer. There we go. Let's try it without the ZK Sync. To DAI, check out. Now I'm only getting, oh, there we go. Let's do a little bit more. Not quite sure why it's not letting me spend my 2 die. Um, Maybe there we go. Standard checkout. Okay. That's why I'd like to see if any of this is on a test net, and it's much easier and cheaper to answer folks' questions about how easy it is to do things. Um, then, of course, you can share on Twitter. Um, Gives me an option to verify my stamps to see if additional matching of funds. All right. They do have a lot of documentation on Notion, as well as this looks like Gitbook. All right. So I definitely need to get some details on how easy or difficult it is to get your grants program onto their platform. Are there any other questions that folks may have or find useful during this time? Um, I'll share this link to boom, the feedback form, and you'll notice that the first thing that the feedback form is going to ask you to do is bam, let's see. Oh, so because I already have my Gitcoin passport set up, it didn't prompt me um, to validate my Gitcoin passport. But if you follow this link, the first thing it should do is essentially give you a web page that asks you to validate your Gitcoin passport. Um, and so it basically will direct you, if you haven't done so, um, it'll direct you to the passport.gitcoin dashboard, and you just connect whatever you want to connect, and then when you go back to the form and like scroll down to the bottom of it, it'll basically give you a button to verify and check your Gitcoin stamps. And it should be, fairly easy to basically validate your Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, um, and maybe one other thing. So if you don't connect with the passport, you won't be able to fill out the feedback form. But if you're wanting to see if it's easier since last time, um, this form should get you started on getting your
I feel
stamps.
like I just always wonder with these things. I feel like, is it really just for technical infrastructure projects that there's going to be it's developers funding developers, which is a lot of what I felt last time when I was talking to Gitcoin grants, or is it really an open source grant program that's going to actually move the needle? I guess that's something I just need to explore more in this documentation.
Well, and so to your point, it very much is, a developer community.
Right.
Again, it came from, tools and people working in GitHub, and then it's like, well, how do I get my GitHub project funding? Okay, let's create a bounty program, some infrastructure for bounties. If we can do bounties, we can do grants. So Gitcoin, very much developer community. Their recent Gitcoin round, focused on climate solutions. Um, Definitely, there's a lot more projects coming into their space that aren't specifically like dev projects. But this is why I also like recommend to folks like Juicebox protocol. Juicebox is, they still have a dev community, but you know, I feel their network is, one, it's not just public goods. Anybody can crowdfund with Juicebox protocol. The Juicebox protocol itself is is basically a treasury management protocol. To think of it as just like a replacement for Kickstarter is a kind of small way of thinking about it. Um, so there's definitely other platforms that are less dev centered, um, for folks to check out. Oh, Salmon's here. You got some other people too. How's everybody doing? And I would say that the Juicebox and Gitcoin grants, at least on the Ethereum blockchain, are kind of the two biggest EVM kind of fundraising tools out there. Um, of course, you can always, just give people your public address and ask people to send crypto there. But these platforms, again, help support and create a kind of network effect of, that allows us users to kind of decide, well, what gets funded? What can I help fund? Or how can I get my project funded? All right. Well, I don't need to keep folks past the top of the hour. Super appreciate folks who came in here to check it out. So it might be a couple months for the next How to Gitcoin session, but I'll definitely by next time try to get a little bit more information on what's actually involved in putting your project up on their platform. I think that's what most people want to do, right? And dance.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and have a great week.
Yeah, likewise. You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ernst.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody.
Also sent a message. Can you else help research on Allo protocol?
I don't know anything about Allo protocol.
Okay, Allo protocol is the latest project of Gitcoin.
Oh,
Try and
gotcha.
see it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's let me share this real quick. Let me check my schedule real quick too. Okay, we do have an education department meeting. But yeah, looks like,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice. I'll add this to my slides and add info about Allo protocol.
Okay, I think I have to go now. I know you got my message already. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. And
No, thank you too. I'll hopefully get some information on that for next time. Have a good one.